they are realistic, and at the same time, they should be time bound, because you'll not be just focusing on one aspect of your research, that you should put into consideration something that you can manage within a particular time frame, something that is also manageable, and something that you can say, okay, I've achieved this and I've moved on with my research. And then another thing that you can also use under this is using tools for organizing tasks. So with the advanced world now, you have AI and a lot of materials that they can help you. They are not entirely there to take away your effort as a student, but they can help you to prioritize, to manage your time, to plan properly. And also the last point, which is to persevere, is very important. And postgraduate studies can be exhausting sometimes. You'll be drained sometimes. So it's very good that you persevere. You develop that resilience aspect as a student. You learn from your failures, where you fail, and then you push ahead so that you do better next time. If you fail an assignment, you fail a particular week, you don't get the results that you anticipated you'd get in a research or in a laboratory setup, for example, you need to see what went wrong and then persevere from there. And that's how you go ahead as a student, as a postgraduate student. And then the third tip, which is also very, very important, is network and collaboration. I think Indonesia has a lot of opportunities for this. Once you get admitted, you'll find out that there are a lot of summer courses, as Dr. Jin said. There are a lot of conferences. There are a lot of workshops that you can attend on your campuses, and even with inter-university workshops. So it's also very important that you know how to network, and then you collaborate with other students. This is going to help you. There are a lot of African communities, a lot of East African communities, South African communities in Indonesia, of a lot of Africans in there, where you can join the groups and then work with those. You may find that there are some students you are sharing a program with, some who may help you here and there. We have a lot of students. I remember most of us who did our research, and maybe we required surveys to be done for our research. Maybe you need 100 respondents to your research work. You just share them in the African community group, and most of the Africans will be able to help you, and you benefit from there. So that's a very important aspect of network and collaboration when it comes to being a student, and especially a postgraduate student. At the same time, you also need to seek mentors for guidance and support. So you have those people that you admire. They may be from other universities or from your own universities. You get to be in touch with them, and you also learn from them how they can help you maybe with your studies. If you get stuck here and there, you find other experts in your field of study who can help you. And that is also going to be very, very helpful if you are to thrive as a postgraduate student, be it for PhD or for your master's. And then, thirdly, you also need to engage in collaborative projects. And this is also very, very doable. I think in Indonesia, you have a lot of universities where you can interact and work on projects with other universities. I've worked on a number of projects with other universities too, and it was very fulfilling and very helpful. We worked on one project, I think, with University of Ailanga. We're going to the Sumeneb Island to install solar panels. It was very fulfilling, and those are people that I networked with. I made friendships. Some of them are even still my friends up to date, and they were very helpful in my studies. So you need to utilize those networks so that you can progress as a student. And then the other tip that I can also, the other tip that I can also share with you, which is the last one, is stay resilient, and then you need to embrace growth. I've already talked about resilience. I'm just emphasizing it now. As a postgraduate student, you need to adapt, you need to innovate, and then you need to keep pushing forward. You need to balance your work, your academic work and your life. So as I said, you need to exercise enough. If you eat enough. If you sleep, you make sure you sleep enough. If you're having fun, you need to have enough of the fun so that you feel relaxed, and then you are able to proceed from there the next day or the next assignment or the next week. So you make sure you balance that so that you don't get drained, because as I said, during postgraduate studies, most of the time you get drained actually. So you need to create that time where you can relax. And the good thing about Indonesia as well is that you have a lot of relaxation process. You can go for karaoke, you can go for sightseeing, you can go for hiking, and all those things that can help you relax will be very, very important for you to wake up energized the next day and then proceed with your studies. And then you also need to learn from criticism and setbacks, something that I've already also said or shared in the last slide, whereby if you feel criticized, negatively criticized, for example, you need to take that and utilize that as a source of energy for you to go ahead. And that should be part of your growth. Challenges will be there. You may be asked to go and revise your proposals. You may be asked to go and represent your thesis. You may be asked to go back and recorrect data. But all this should help you to grow and then to even go harder in your systems. And then lastly, you also stay innovative by exploring new methodologies and ideas. So you're a researcher, you don't stick to one kind of understanding. You can explore other ideas, other ways of doing the very same thing to see how you can improve. So that is also a very, very important aspect for a researcher, to be open-minded about what you are doing, and then seeing if there are alternative methods or alternative ways of doing the very same thing. So lastly, I was also asked, apart from what I was asked to share, which is how to thrive as a researcher, I was also asked to just give a glimpse of the scholarships, or maybe explain a little bit about the KNB scholarships, which I'm going to just explain with the slide. Then I'll close my presentation. So I've shared these links. I'll also share this PPT in the chat box so that you can access it, and you also access these links. Most of these links are for scholarships that are open now, and some that will be open maybe early February rather. So, for example, in this, you can see the KNB scholarship, which is already open, and it's what most of us are applying, because the KNB scholarship takes a lot of students, more than 500, I think. So it means you stand a very, very high chance if you apply for KNB scholarships, a government scholarship. It allocates students in all the universities, in most of the universities that subscribe to the KNB scholarship in Indonesia, and this should be more than 20, 30 universities. So it means you stand a higher chance if you apply for the KNB scholarship. Great is a scholarship that is offered by the University of Indonesia. It also takes a lot of students, and you also stand a higher chance. There is Brawijaya scholarship, which the link I've also put on the slide, and I'll also share a guide in the chat box from Brawijaya University on how to apply this scholarship. You have the Damascus scholarship, which is also usually open in early February. You may also like to apply for such scholarship. And then there are also scholarships that are usually shared on the SOFY channel. This is a channel for students that are willing to share and then help you apply for all the scholarships in Indonesia. So once a scholarship opens, they share it on the group. They also help you with applying, because the group is made up of students that have either graduated from universities in Indonesia or students that are already there in Indonesia studying currently. So it's very good that you join the channel. When the scholarships open up in Indonesia, Indonesia has a lot of scholarships, as Dr. Jin said. You can follow through the channel. You can apply for those scholarships, And then you can also get help from these people in the group. Some of them are studying in the very same schools that you would be applying for. Some of them have graduated from the same school. So I believe they'll be very helpful. So I'll share this PPT, as I said, in the chat box, and then you go through this. These are just some of the links, but I believe on the channel, there may be more. There may be more. Specifically on the KNB, which I said is one of the great scholarship in Indonesia. I just created a slide, a short guideline. I think Dr. Jin has explained about the system in Indonesia and all those. And then we also had the consulate officer in Malawi who explained how you can get the letter. So I'll just not take much of the time, but I'll just share a small step guideline on how that happens if you are applying for the KNB scholarship, which is currently open. And then the link is what I've shared in the PPT. So what you're supposed to do is that when you go on the website, you find an invitation letter that is there. You download that letter. It's very general for everyone. You take that letter and then you submit it to the Indonesian embassy in your country or to the consulate embassy in your country, or sometimes if your country doesn't have the Indonesian embassy, as the consulate officer said, you may work with them to help you find the nearest Indonesian embassy that is collaborating with your country to help you access these things. And then when you submit this invitation letter that you have downloaded from the website, you submit your passport, you submit your academic certificates, your transcripts, and then when you do this, they do a background check to just verify the documents, and then they give you this Indonesian embassy recommendation letter. This is a very, very important letter, and it is mandatory if you are applying for KNB scholarship. After that, you take that recommendation letter, and then you're going to attach to the application process on the website, which is very easy. The good thing with Indonesian scholarships, most of them, and what I've also noticed with students is that most people learn away from long essays and all those. And lucky enough, I think Indonesia also understood their assignment, and most of their scholarships do not have a lot of essays, or some do not even have essays at all. So it means they are easier to apply. You just get those letters. Sometimes you may be asked to get a recommendation letter from the supervisor, especially maybe when you're applying for PhDs. You may need to get that recommendation from a supervisor who you share research interest with, especially for PhDs. So you need to also find a link where you can get in touch with the university that you want. You go through the programs in different universities that subscribe to KNB. There is a link on the website that will show you all the universities and the programs they offer. So you go through those programs, and then you choose the ones that you are interested with, those that you take interest in. And then you choose in your selection process, you attach the recommendation letter from the consulate or from the embassy, and then you finish the application process. You wait for the selection process and the results. Sometimes some universities may require an interview. Most think they don't, but some may need to do an interview, especially on the program selection and all that. So you prepare for that interview. Usually if it's for PhD, they may ask you your thesis, masters, and all those. If it is for masters, maybe they may just ask you your intention for applying for such a program, how you plan to excel, and so on and so forth. So that's it, but some don't do the interviews. After that, you get the results from the KNB website announcing the results. From there now you get a link to WhatsApp groups, form groups, where you can be getting the updates from those that have been selected on how to get your air tickets, how to process your visa, and so on and so forth. In the link, I think someone asked about, do they mind if you have gotten a first class, a second class, or a third class? I believe that that is taken into consideration in most of the universities, but unlike other countries, I believe Indonesia has what it calls case-by-case scenarios, whereby when you apply for a scholarship, they don't just look at the class. Sometimes they may take interest into your transcript and see how you were performing and try to go through that. So you don't get afraid whether you got a third class unless the program specifies they may need a first-class student, which I think in most of the situations they don't. You go and apply for that, and if you are confident that's what you're interested in, but also your grades are good enough to get you into that, you can get into that. So you don't need to worry whether you have the first class, you have the second class, or even if you have a third class. You apply, you may try your chances, and then you may be admitted for such programs. On English proficiency letters, most of the times, Indonesia is also flexible in terms of that sometimes, as Sherry also explained, they may require that you have an English proficiency exam certificate, but if you have studied your previous degrees in English, or your career is in English, as in most of the Anglophone countries, you can attach a letter from your university or from your high school if you're applying for undergraduate, stating that I did my studies in English, and they should use that as an English waiver. So I think reaching this far, that's what I had prepared for you guys. Unless there are questions that I can take from there, I say thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Alfred, for your input. So unfortunately, we also have a very limited time because we asked our guest speakers to have at least 1 hour, and we have already surpassed 1 hour. So in the meantime, we will just provide the links to our social media, Instagram and WhatsApp. So in case you guys have questions or queries, you can address there and we will respond. We reply actually every time. So please feel free to address your questions there. We'll write down the contact details and then we'll answer you as soon as possible. In the meantime, Dr. Jen, I also just wanted to thank you once again for coming, for accepting to talk to all of us here today. It's an honor. I hope when we invite you again next time, you will be here. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, Baston.
Okay, so at this juncture, I think maybe Sherry, maybe you have anything you would like to add?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say thank you so much for our participants today, our guests, Ibu Tedza, thank you so much. I think that was very helpful for people to know the academic system in Indonesia and to open themselves to coming to Indonesia and to get their degrees here. So thank you for that. We're also grateful for Alfred. Thank you for sharing your experience and the KNB process. For those who still don't have the grips of the KNB application, we've done 2 YouTube videos. One of them is a step-by-step application process. And the other one we did last week where we were answering questions from various students who wanted to know how they can go about it. So we'll share those links as well in the Sophie channel. I've posted the link on the chat box. That's where we are able to communicate one way to many people through one platform so that it's easier, because we are not able to share the links directly to everyone. Because you have a bigger number than this. So thank you so much for the participation, and everyone who was able to come. Feel free to get in touch with us on our Instagram at Sophie Channel for any questions. We will be able to help you. And thanks once again.
I would also just want to thank Mr. Faraz for joining us today. It's really an honor. I hope we'll keep in touch and help as many as we can to get the scholarships.
No, absolutely. Thank you for that, Baston. And if there is any requirement, please feel free to share my contact details in any relevant platforms that you see fit. And we should be in touch. If you have any queries for us here in Malawi to see how we can assist you as the Office of the Consulate, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you so much. So that's all, everyone. I think maybe if we can switch on our cameras, we just want to take
Take a picture.
picture. Please. Anna, can you take a picture?
Okay, smile, please. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, done.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Once again, have a good night. Have a good afternoon everywhere. So this is it. Bye-bye. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank